Here we have a review of the JacksDo Dragon Ball Z Saiyan Attack Ball Round Spaceship, aka Saiyan Space Pod. This is version B, the damaged version. For the box, we have an image of the damaged version of the space pod with outer space in the background and a glimpse of Earth there behind it. On the side, we do have the JacksDo logo, version A or B, depending on which one you ordered. The alternate side has the version A, which is the undamaged version. Again, the logo. On the bottom, we just have space and more of the Earth. And then just JacksDo on the top. Taking it out of the box, it does come pretty well packaged in styrofoam with a Velcro strap to secure that, which is really nice because it is a resin cast item, so this is going to ensure that it does arrive undamaged. It also comes with an instruction manual to let you know how we assemble the different pieces of the space pod. Taking the pod out of the styrofoam, it does come in 4 pieces. You do have the main body of the pod, the door to the pod, as well as 2 support beams for the door. The door does slide directly down into this. It is a little bit of a tight fit, but it should go in pretty snug. And then for the supports, they have a longer notch on the outsides. So you want those to go on the outside when you're inserting it into these little grooves. And those just fall into place. And that's it, pretty quick assembly for it. Now looking at the pod itself, it does come really well detailed, which is the main reason for going with these JacksDo resin cast items, is because of the level of detail that they do put into each of the casts. There is a lot of nice weathering in here, a lot of nice damage detail. The cast on the broken glass for the damaged version of this looks magnificent, as well as the translucence of that window is amazing. Let's take a closer look at some of this damage. Again, it's really nice detail. It looks great. This is a heavy item, so you don't have to worry about it moving or sliding around on your shelf, but you do want to be careful not to drop it because it is heavy and it is resin cast, so it will damage if you drop it down. Now for our height and size comparisons, the space pod does sit about 6.5 inches tall. The front to back width or length open is about 10.5 inches. So about there, 10.5 inches. And if we were to close it, is probably going to be about 6.5 inches. For our height comparisons, we do have the Majin Vegeta, Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, the event exclusive Nappa, and Raditz here for comparison. And what we really care about is how these figures are going to fit inside the space pod. So putting my Majin Vegeta in, he does fit pretty well. I don't have my Scatter Vegeta handy, but based off the Majin Vegeta, it looks like there is plenty of room for the shoulder armor on the Scatter Vegeta to fit into this space pod. Trying out our Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, we'll put him into the sitting position as well. Lift these arms up. And it looks like he fits in there pretty nicely as well. Moving on to our bigger Saiyans, we'll go with the event exclusive Nappa. And Nappa is not going to fit in there. There are a couple of things blocking him. One, we have the armor on his hips, which is not going to fit into the seats, plus the armor on the shoulders, which is not even going to fit into the opening as well. Plus his height does look like it may be restrictive, so a larger Saiyan like Nappa will not fit into this pod. And finally, we have Raditz, especially since this is the damaged space pod. Raditz is an ideal figure for this. So we'll put him into the sitting position. And it looks like Raditz is not going to fit in there great. You could move the armor on the hips and he might fit in there that way. The shoulder armor would be tight, but I think the biggest challenge with Raditz is the size of his hair. So that hair is just not going to go in there. You're not going to get him to actually sit in the seat. So overall, the space pod is more geared for fitting the smaller Saiyans, so Vegeta and Goku, but it's not going to fit the larger Saiyans. Now comparing the JacksDo Saiyan space pod to the Figurized Mechanics. The Figurized Mechanics is a model kit that you do need to assemble yourself. As such, it is much more cost effective, but you can see that the detailing doesn't quite compare to JacksDo. The detailing on the Figurized Mechanics is more decals and limited lines, versus the JacksDo is very high detail. They both fit the smaller Saiyans. Neither are going to fit your larger Saiyans, but if you want to use it for smaller Saiyans, you can go either way. So depending on how you want to display this and your budget will determine which one of these you would lean towards, but my money is on the JacksDo because it's going to look great any way you put it. Overall, the JacksDo Saiyan Space Pod is going to make a great addition to your collection. With all the details and the weathering, it's going to look fantastic on display. And while as a premium third-party item, the cost may be prohibitive, if you can afford it, I highly recommend it and you won't be disappointed.